The Philippines ranked 105th in Save the Children's State of the World's Mothers Index. And to tell us more about that, we have in the studio Mr. Ned Olney, Country Director of Save the Children. Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Ned. Now, 105th out of 178. So we're really off the mark here.
Well, that's right. I would say that the Philippines is treading water. Over the past 15 years, Philippines has lost 5 ranking spots. So it's doing okay. It's certainly not catastrophic, but we're seeing that's moving in the wrong direction, while many other countries in Southeast Asia are making more progress and faster. So I think there are some areas of concern.
Okay, so what were the factors you considered in making this ranking?
Sure. Five factors taken from international data. So we're looking at maternal mortality, child mortality, economic progress, so how's the economy doing, as well as education and political participation of women. So those are the 5 big areas, and those are big proxy indicators of how women are doing in the country.
Well, that's quite interesting because in the Philippines, we've been reporting in the news that we're improving our economy, and economy is one of the factors. So where does our problem lie? If our economy is improving, how come we're not doing well in the mortality rates for mothers and children below 5 years old? I understand.
That's right. Yeah, the economy has almost tripled in terms of gross national income in 15 years, from $1,000 per capita to almost $2,500 per capita. So that's pretty good. Another area of great success in the Philippines is political participation. So there's
women, right?
There's many more women in the political process, are engaging at a high level. That's terrific. One area that's been probably the biggest area of concern in terms of slipping ranking places is in education. So we know that children spend less months of time in school in the educational system than Filipino children did in the year 2000. Okay. So in the past 15 years, there's actually been a decline in the amount of time spent in school of children. So that's a real concern. Child mortality and maternal mortality, there's been pretty good progress there in 15 years. 30% reduction of maternal mortality, 26% reduction in child mortality, but just not as fast as other Asian neighbors and other countries.
What could be the reason for that? With our, the natural disasters that we experience yearly, could it have affected that?
Yes, and this year's State of the World's Mothers Report by Save the Children really drills down on that and really takes a look at, well, what's the impact on crisis and natural disasters on the state of women? And sure enough, the bottom-ranked countries tend to have more conflict. And here in the Philippines, certainly the consistent pounding of the country that actually brings to its knees the health system really has an impact long-term in terms of the ability to progress and provide safe health services for women.
Now with the RH law, do you foresee that it may help improve our situation?
Yeah, it remains to be seen. I think most of the professionals in the area believe that there will be a positive impact on maternal mortality, bring it down. It's certainly not in the data this year because the decision was just made by the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Next year and maybe the year after, you may see some contribution to reducing maternal mortality. It's hard to say right now.
So which countries are better for mothers, so to speak?
Well,
the top 10, I think.
Number one, and I don't remember actually all the top 10 in terms
at least
of
the number one.
The number one is Finland.
Finland.
And Finland has an absolutely microscopic maternal mortality rate. So lifetime chances of a woman dying in Finland in childbirth is 1 in 12,000. 1 in 12,000. And if you compare that to the worst country on the ranking, which is Somalia, the rate is approximately 700 per 12,000 mothers. So it's almost 700 times the risk of maternal mortality. And there's virtually no government in Somalia, or it's a recent government. It's been natural disaster and conflict over the past 30 years. So that's one of the reasons why. So you see a major difference from one edge of the globe to the other. But the top 10 is in Northern Europe.
Northern Europe.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting because the Philippines is 105th and we're just behind, we're behind Iraq.
Yeah.
Considering that if we look at the news, it seems like they're more conflict stricken than our country, although we do have our, yearly typhoons.
Yeah, I'm not
You mean
sure
they have
about
better
that.
education there? I'm just looking at the 5 factors you indicated.
I think it was a surprise to me as well. I think probably they've done a reasonably good job, even though there's been conflict, of keeping their health system stable. So there has been a lot of conflict, but over time, I think their health system has been functional.
So how can we improve on this, considering that you mentioned about something that's pounding us every year?
Yeah.
I mean, so what can we do?
Yeah, I think we're all scratching our heads here in the Philippines to say, how can we storm-proof the health system? That would be the number one thing. We know that there's a new typhoon season that's coming up in June. We know that the Philippines will get hit multiple times. We know that in Tacloban and the areas affected by Yolanda, that there have been only temporary patches to the infrastructure. So you still see health facilities that have tarps. And of the 2,000 health facilities that were damaged or destroyed in the typhoon, only 1,000 are functional right now. So you've got a country which has put some patches in place to do the best it can. At the same time, it really hasn't created health services that are typhoon proof. So I think that's one of the big areas that we would recommend. I think if we also want to make progress in the ranking, we have to pay specific attention to newborn deaths. And as you know, it's the most dangerous day of your life is the day you're born. And I think Philippines has made less progress in reducing newborn mortality than they have in reducing child mortality.
Is this part of the Save the Children's disaster preparedness campaign?
Yes, it is. And so one of the things that we're doing to get ready for this typhoon season, and it's the first place anywhere in the world that we've done this, is we've created a storm-proof birthing kit. And it's called a beacon box. It's birthing essentials for care of newborns. So it's a Loctite birthing kit that we're going to pre-position in areas that get hit by typhoons. So when the health system goes down, when mothers can't make it to the health facilities to give birth, that there's clean and safe kit available for them to give birth in their homes.
Well, I do hope that kit will find its way in other parts of the Philippines because we really don't know when the next typhoon will strike next.
That's right. And we'd be looking at certainly northeastern Luzon, we'd be looking at Visayas, we'd be looking at Mindanao.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Hopefully we improve in your next ranking.
I hope so as well.
Next time we will move up closer to Finland somehow. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Ned, for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show, and happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we were just speaking to Mr. Ned Olney, Country Director of Save the Children.